What's up guys, it's Michael here. In this video, I'm going to contradict and look at the other side, why college is worth it. So I made a previous video saying that college wasn't worth it if you are looking into become a business owner or doing some type of niche. For example, if you do real estate. But a lot of people say college is not worth it. Like most of financial people on YouTube say it's not worth it. Personally, I'm 50-50 about it because they are uses to it. And there's some benefits you cannot get without going into college. Or in this case, they make it very difficult to get. So we're going to look down and browse through what benefits a college bring that compares if you do not complete your degree, or you decided to say halfway, you maybe became a business owner, or maybe started up businesses younger. If you don't look at it financially, then it might be a different aspect. So if you look at the first method is number one, in both cases, if you do not go to college or you do go to college, you always have paths open to yourself. If you don't go to college, you actually have a lot of paths taken from you. For example, if you're looking to become a doctor or a lawyer or anything that requires you a specialty, meaning you have to be licensed, if you don't go to college, all those opportunities are closed off to you. If you do go to college, every single opportunity of those, which for example, you work in a hospital, maybe you work in a special tech field, maybe you work in a weapon development company, they require a license, they require specialty training, which you cannot get if you do not go to college. In this case, they balance out 1-to-1. But if you look at purely financial aspect, then between those two, not going to college and going to college, those is where it equalizes right there. Meaning is if you design, maybe develop a new type of equipment, college could help you, or maybe it will not help you. It really depends on the person. So number one understanding is going to college, it really depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for strictly financially, then you want to target anything that's business related. Meaning is if you're going to pick a job, make sure it can be business related. So not going to college and going to college will be pretty much equal. If not going to college is your ideal, then in time-wise, you have the advantage compared to going to college. Because most people going to college, you will not be working your business or making income. But in the same time, which brings down to number two. When you go to college, if you look for that degree, for example, you want to do something you really want to do, and for example, you want to be a doctor, you want to save lives. If you go to college, that is a guarantee that if you pass through all the way from your bachelor's to your master's, or maybe from bachelor's to your doctorate degree, then you can work in whatever field you want to work in. For example, if you do not go to college, you cannot work in a hospital because it's a high risk of stake in which no one, including the government, will not take. You cannot learn that information. Meaning is if you try to do surgery or maybe try to administer medicine, then you have to go to college because you cannot find that information online. The stuff to provide online is really superficial. And another example is versus if you want to be an accountant, there's actually different levels of accountant. There's something called enrolled agent and there's something called a CPA, certified public accountant. There's two different categories to that. So one doesn't require you to go to college and the other one requires you to go to college. And in that case, the one going to college has the higher authority because once you are licensed, you have that ability registered by the state. They recognize you for that piece of paper that you can do these specific items and tasks and deeds compared to someone who doesn't. Whether or not, let's say that the person who didn't go to college has more experience and understands how to do it, but they're not certified to do it. It's a restriction right there that prevents anyone from jumping that next step. If you look at financial aspect, who will benefit financially, that will really depend on the person. Meaning that basically, it really depends on how you find clients. If you look at financial aspect, finding clients will be number one goal. If you look at those two type of categories as an accountant. If you break it down to, let's say, like you're a plumber, maybe you want to become an artist, then that'll vary again. For example, you can be an artist designing for a studio, maybe design in tech. For example, you write software and development. So that will break up two groups. So if you work at Google, maybe they want a degree. If you don't have a degree, most likely they will not hire you. And if you don't have a degree and you somehow got in, basically it's like, hey, look, I'm the one who did it. But if you think about it, if you look at majority of the population, the majority of people are not like that specific one person. If you look at statistics wise, you want to choose the one that best suits you and gives you the highest chance to succeed. Meaning is what, when, and where do they hire? For example, tech companies will usually look for people with a degree certified with a specific language or knowledge that they know that When they have that piece of paper, they should know steps A, B, and C, versus someone they don't know, they don't have a college degree. Maybe they do know it, but how do they know as a company themselves know that this person is totally gonna basically provide what they need? They don't want to go through a hassle, a headache, and find out the guy who doesn't know it. Then who's gonna take responsibility? Which is the company, because for them, time is money. Which breaks down to number 3. This one I find it pretty intriguing, where if you go to college and versus you don't go to college, you could both be financially successful. For example, if you don't go to college, it can be both ways. There's cases where you will not be financially successful, and you will be financially successful. It applies for both sides. Which one does better? Obviously, the one that has more time. That's a basic given advantage. And another advantage is, besides more time, college, when you go to college, you could also start your own business. Doesn't mean you don't have to. It's just that you have less time to start it. But if you go to college and you do start a business, let's say you graduate from whatever course or career you went for, you graduate and you work and start your own business, you could potentially or even surpass people who grow big in business and then start in college. There's a benefit for that, which those other people don't have, let's face it, which brings down to number 4. Going to college also builds a lot of opportunities, meaning it comes to meeting people. This one I have to agree with, because after speaking with a lot of different friends, and some they went to college and some didn't, there's one opportunity that's undeniably that you go to college, you will have it versus the other group. It's basically meeting people, building relationships, and really the relationships itself is the name of the game in business. So you go to college, you can meet a lot of people very easily, face-to-face interaction. Yes, they might not be, basically your students, they might not be super wealthy, they might not know a lot of things, maybe they just want to party and gamble. But if you look at it that way, those are relationships. Basically, mean you go and speak to different people really easily because you all sit in a class together, you all study the same topic or subject. You can also go to different events, which is easily to find in college versus when you're not in college. And all you have to do, which I see majority of people don't do, is basically talk to them, talk to different people, and get to know them. Get to know them to the point where you can maybe pass out business cards, exchange phone numbers, and keep in touch. And eventually, in the future, they might be FWB, friends with benefits. So if they're looking for something, or you're looking for something, maybe you can chat with them and find out they provide a service or good that you need, then you get it. That's a client. That is one way that college surpasses people not going to college versus they don't have a degree. Because if they don't have a degree and they start working, the hardest part of that is finding clients. Yes, once you're not working, people will take you a lot more serious. Meaning is that if you look for a client, they're not there to really build a really, really close relationship. You're providing a good and a service, and they're looking for that good and service. Yeah, they might you might get a client or two, but at the same time, you got to understand this is going to be a long and hard journey of meeting new people. You could also go to events if you are not in college, but at the same time, if you look statistically, which one's easier to go to events, which is easier for you to get invited to different groups and parties, which is going to college. And if, let's say you didn't go to college, you get invited to those groups and events, but most of the time, those are mainly business related, which brings down to the next one, which is relationships. Relationships, for example, dating, is a lot easier in college versus you're working. And a simple reason is it's based on people and their age. In college, people are not so materialistic, meaning is they don't go out and they go look for people looking like, hey, do you have money? Hey, do you fit my type? Do you fit the looks? Do you have everything I personally want, dream, maybe in a fantasy world? In college, it's a lot easier. People don't look at things more materialistically. They don't look at money as much versus if you're in the workforce. In the workforce, and if you try to look for relationships, it's a lot more difficult. It's a lot more difficult, which is a downside to it, which brings to the next and last call. So when you go to college, you have something to prove. Meaning is this is more like inborn and ingrained genetically. Throughout the years in America, you have to get a degree to be successful, which is honestly not true, but at the same time is, you can look at it as pride. Because if you go to college, you can tell your parents or the previous generation or your grandparents, like, hey, I made it, I got this diploma, and what's the next part and next step of my life? So in this case, going to college could be a benefit, or at the same time is, depending what you do with it, it could be a disservice. But in this video, we're mainly looking at the benefits of going to college. And going to college, let's say that you're not really interested financially, maybe you're financially well off, then going to college is a great idea. And don't put off the idea of not going to college. You can also do the hybrid solution. It's not like just either route A or route B. You can always take something like route C, or something in the middle, where you go to college and you still run your business at the same time, which is preferably the best option. And if you think of that case, if you take route C, I think that's the best way where people can start bringing in income, getting experience at workforce, and at the same time you get your degree, meet new people, go to new events. So going to college, it really depends on you, but personally, I want to pick the one that fits within between the two, if I had the chance to redo that. That's it all for this video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.